morning, good afternoon, good evening. Uko wapi na ni saa ngapi? It's so good to have you here. Welcome to Living Truthfully, the Amani Maranga podcast. My name is, you guessed it, Amani Maranga. And I'm so grateful to have you here at 51.1 thousand total plays on my podcast. Wow, acha nikwambie, out wote sijua umetoka hapi, lakini I'm so grateful that you guys are listening to these conversations, to this very authentic, very normal conversations, and that you're sharing and that you're giving me feedback. And I'm asking you to keep sharing, and feeding back on this podcast because we are living truthfully with you. We are having authentic conversations with you. And this week, we continue the conversation on dads. Are you ready? Are you buckled up? Let's go. Papa was a rolling stone. If you missed last week's podcast, we had a gentleman called Edward. That guy was so deep you couldn't find him. He was so deep. Alikuwa chini, huko ndani. And he had such important conversations to share. And let me say that I'm so glad that the ladies listening to this podcast, because I didn't realize that this dad conversation, which I thought was a very dude conversation, was actually relevant for single moms. Anywho, I brought one of my brothers in studio today. Now, in one of these podcasts, in my previous podcasts, I've spoken about an experience I went through called Crucible. Now, one of my brothers who I went through this Crucible process with, but was not a stranger to me, is a gentleman called Nderitu, and he's in studio with me. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Mr. Sydney. Sid.
Hi, good afternoon. Karibu. Hi, everybody. Asante, Amani. It's good to be here. Happy to be here.
How you doing, man?
Very well. No complaints.
You've been a listener to the podcast?
Yes, I have. Missed a couple of shows, but I'm a good supporter, for lack of a better word. Yeah.
Fantastic. Yeah. Thank you, man. Sorry, guys. We're eating some nice donuts in this studio. And the coffee, I decided now to start tupatia my guest coffee, mazi.
Thanks.
And tea. He's having tea, I'm having coffee. If you're a tea or a coffee sponsor, this is a good time for you to plug in, kwa sababu sikia hiyo kahawa. Iko tamu sana.
Iko tamu, locally brewed. Very nice.
It is very nice.
Yes.
Sid.
Yes.
Tell me, of the episodes you've had of the podcast, has it had any impact for you?
Yes. I think one that really had a big impact for me was obviously this one for dads. The very initial ones of just being a single dad and being single, especially during Christmas, during Easter. Those ones had a big impact of me. I think it's because I also have a lot of friends who are going through that season. And one of the things that I took out from those shows is like, today you're listening to the show and telling yourself, wow, yani guys go through this stuff. Tomorrow it could be you. Tomorrow, God forbid, you could be a widower, you could be going through a divorce. Anything can happen. So I take a lot from these shows. It's like I was telling you, today you're listening and tomorrow you're affected. So these shows are wonderful. Thanks,
man. Thanks for saying that.
Yeah.
You've been a great impact in my life, and this process we've gone through for Crucible has been, for me, has been life-changing.
That's true.
People don't know that I started this podcast as a result of what did we call it? My big want and what we do, what I want for myself.
Yes.
And I said that what I was going to do was start a podcast.
Yes.
And you guys were there, when I was saying it. And I had to remain in integrity. And so I started a podcast so that you guys don't grill me.
I tell you, yeah. This guy said he wants to start a podcast. I'm like, so what exactly do you want to do? He said, I want to talk. So I'm like, okay, then start a podcast and give us feedback in another 2 weeks.
Imagine that.
And let me tell you, the goodness of Crucible, guys hold you to your word. Accountability, integrity is a key thing. So usipofanya vile umesema, you don't even want to come back the next Tuesday. So, and he kicked it off.
I kicked it off, and here we are.
51,100
listeners later, and 22 episodes. This is episode 22.
I tell you. Yeah.
And we're talking about dads. And I want to say the reason I'm talking about dads is because I feel The more I think about it, the more I feel like there's a concerted effort to diminish the role of fathers.
Yes.
And so I'm asking myself, and now asking you, are dads important?
It's a packed question, but straight answer, yes. Dads are important.
How?
Dads are important. Let me tell you, there are a lot of things that, in my strong belief, only a man, and a man who's close to you, probably your dad being the closest, who can teach you, who can impart you with these things. And it's not a cliche that when people say, okay, atafundishwa na babake, that thing is very true. It's very true. Today I am a dad of a 5-year-old boy and a 3-year-old girl, and there are things I see my son doing or he'd want to do, and he really can't do them with a mom. The guy wants to jump from the top of the table and jump onto your arms, or from the top of the staircase onto your arms. He wants his bike to be fixed. He wants to go and play soccer. He wants to run in the rain. All these very, very small things. They might not mean much because the guy is 4 or 5. But for those things, I strongly believe that a dad should be present.
Tell me about your dad, Sydney.
Typical African guy. The most important thing where my brother and I were growing up is discipline. So discipline for him was a non-negotiable thing. And he made sure in his words and with his belt and with his kiboko that this one you have to be disciplined. You have to grow up with morals. You have to grow up with some sense of integrity. And he made sure that respect was our middle name. So for me, I'd say my dad was, in terms of discipline, that one he was. Yeah.
He was a disciplinarian.
Yes.
Is he still alive?
Yes, he's still alive.
Where is he?
Currently, he's living in the States.
Okay.
Where he's been there for around 17, 18 years.
Wow.
Yeah, and here's the most important thing about him is the things that he taught my brother and I still do them to my kids. For me, I tell them, discipline is a key thing. You want to be, I'm going to call you once, not 3-4 times, and then you drag your feet. And no. Let me call you once. Let your mom call you once, and then you come. Yeah. So those things, it was a good lesson. And I have also transitioned that one to my kids. You say he's been away 17, 18 years. Yes. Which means that maybe in your childhood, you had him around? Yes. We had him around. Okay. What was that like? So it was good to have him around. Like I said, he was very good where discipline was concerned. He was not, I wouldn't say he was involved with a lot of the things that we did, apart from discipline and academics. Any other thing that we did, was it the sports, was it the art, the music? My brother was very good with electricals and all those. He was not very involved with all those things. I was very good with the sports and with the arts, but he wasn't involved in all those things. At some point, it would bother us. I mean, Kwani, this guy is not interested with what us guys are doing. But I guess with time, we just got to kind of live with it. And took him for who he was. I think for him, what he understood the most was, my kids need to be good, they need to do well in school, and they need to be disciplined. Anything outside those two, that one was a bonus. What's your best memory of your childhood where your father is involved? I think for me, the best memory was my dad came for one of the soccer games I was playing. I think I was like 7-8 years old, and that to me was a very big thing for me. But the guy did not come. He didn't leave the house to come for the soccer game. He was coming to pick me up, and he got there earlier than the normal time. So he had no choice. He was there by default. He was just there by default. He had no choice but to watch this soccer game. And the guy, he stood there, he watched the game, and so when we were going home, the guy says, "You were very good at this. Is this something you enjoy?" And I said, "Yes, it's something I enjoy." So he's like, "Wow, okay, you were very good." And getting praise from him at that time was everything. That kept me going on for 1 year or 2.
Wow. Worst memory?
So worst memory was, I think at some point I'd actually finished Form 4 and going through, you remember the way we used to do packages, all those
computer
things.
packages.
Computer packages, yes. And
millennials might never know.
They will never know. They are. I remember the certification was called
ICDL, International Computer Driver's License.
Yes.
What the hell is that? Why are you driving a computer? Someone lied to us.
Try driving a keyboard. Now where do you even begin?
Yeah.
So then round about that time he lost his job. And he doesn't even tell us he's lost his job. So he just says, hey, things are bad and that's it. And then now paying for even these packages was a problem. Because those days when they used to fire you, they just used to tell you, stop what you're doing, pack your things and go. And the only thing they would give you is what probably you've contributed in your pension.
Wow.
So so that was painful for me. But actually what made it worse is, number one, him not telling us. Then the second thing, he'd lock himself in the room and stay there the whole day. And in the morning, you take for him tea, you leave it outside the room. Then and you take you remember the 3 daily newspapers, yes. Nation, Standard, Kenya Times. Unaziacha hapo nje. And that was it, and he'd never leave the room. Wow. So it was painful for him, and I saw him go through a tough time. He got into depression.
That's depression, yeah.
He got into depression. So that was tough for me. What made it tough is he's not telling us, and even if you tried to ask, he'd paint this picture, everything would be okay. And if you ask him a second time, it would be the complete opposite, because now he'd go wild. Why do you want to know? So that was it.
Let me delve into that just a little bit.
Yes.
Because if you put yourself in his shoes,
yes,
what conversation do you have with your children when you've lost your job?
Actually, yes. Now that you ask it, the kind of conversation you have with your children has to be guided by how you have raised them. What kind of foundation have you created for them? How open have you been with them when you're raising them up? How forward, how sincere have you been with them? If you haven't been, the conversation will be very difficult. If you have been, let me say, a friend to them and a parent, and you have been able to strike the balance, then the conversation will be a bit easier. Yeah.
Sid, you're a father of 2.
Yes.
I want to talk about what fatherhood has done for you. And I want to start with childbirth. We were discussing earlier just the childbirth process.
Yes.
And I asked you a question. Were you in the delivery room for your children's birth?
Yes, I was in the delivery room for Nathan, and I was also in the delivery room for Gadonia as well.
Why? Why would you do that to yourself?
I thought I was Superman.
And but now?
Anyway, yes, I was there for both of them. But here's the reason. It was a selfish reason. I wanted to be the first one, outside the medical team, to be the first one to hold him and to be the first one to say a word of prayer for them. So that for me was so important. Even when other guys wanted to come, I'm like, no, it's okay. It's just my wife is called Kendi, so it's just Kendi and I. We're going to be here. You guys can hang around. So I just want to be the first. I wanted to be the very first one. Hold him and do a prayer for them. Kind of like welcome them in the world. Yes.
Why?
Good question. I think I just decided to be a different father. A lot of the stories I've heard is the dad waits outside and he's brought for the kid very well wrapped, very well cleaned. The other one, the dad is the one outside entertaining all the visitors, the parents, the in-laws. But now I just wanted to do it differently. And here's the thing. Deep down in me, I thought that if I'm the first one to hold my child and pray for them and kind of them welcome them into the world, this is a prayer that is just kind of going to carry them for the rest of their life. Yes, you pray for them and you're there with them. They also learn how to pray and do many things. But this was like the foundation. Unajenga nyumba unaweka foundation kwanza. Yeah, so there was going to be a bit of a foundation for them. So I would say that's why.
I want to ask you a question that by now you're familiar with.
Yes.
Why? But why? Why did you want to be a different father?
Well, actually for three main reasons. One, I wanted to be totally different from my dad. I felt he did what he knew. What he knew best was my kids need to be good in academics and they need to be disciplined. So I wanted to be different from that. Yes, my kids need to be good in academics, they need to be disciplined, but there are a lot of other things out there in the world that they can be and I'd want them to be, Then the second thing is I wanted to start this relationship as early as possible. Yes, I'd already kicked off the relationship when my children were in their mom's womb. I'd already kicked off that relationship.
How did you kick it off?
Very much. I'd be constantly rubbing her stomach. Mbaka, sometimes she'd fall asleep very quickly before I come home because, there's that concession. Let me just rub the stomach a bit. Let me feel where he is. And she'd be like, no, I'm so tired. But here I am insisting.
I used to play Mogidi for my daughter, which is fun. It's a funny story because I used to play, I can't remember what song. And so I used to play Mogidi for her in the stomach. So when we were winning her and she'd have colic and I'd play the song.
Wow.
She'd keep quiet.
Really?
Imagine that.
Eesh.
And even now, I think I grounded her kiasi, so she has a bit of a shower. Even though I'm trying to raise Barbie kids, but iko kaushamba kiasi.
There's a kamogidi still left in her.
Still left in her, mazi.
Trust me, she knows the song, even though she doesn't hear it for 2 years.
I'll try and remember what it is, and then I'll play it for her, see if she responds. But you were saying you had started the relationship early.
Yeah, I had started the relationship earlier, so I wanted to continue that. Then the third thing is my friends and I used to support a children's home, my friends and my wife. And let me tell you, a lot of these kids did not have dads. And the children's home was in Kayole. So we'd go there and, my wife and her friends would do all the normal kiddies things, play kati, play blada, do all those things. Because these kids didn't know that you've been raised from the streets. And immediately you turn 2, 1.5, you're there on the streets begging. You don't know anything else apart from that. And then, the Jamas, I remember we'd play a bit of soccer. We would... a very good organization helped us and they gave us about 5 desktop computer machines, so we would hook them up and put their video games. And,
nice. Where was this?
It was in Kayole. So
why wasn't I in Kayole at the time? Nilikuwa
hapo Doni, not too far.
Just about Umbele.
Yeah, so we'd do a lot of that, and it really pained me that these kids do not have dads, and the ones that had dads, the dads, he'd rather go drinking or he'd rather be somewhere else. So they ended up in the children's home. So, and that's the third reason that I told myself, I think when I have my own children, whether I have or I do not have in terms of material benefit, if there's one thing I will be there for them. Yeah, so what an early way to start, in the womb and on the day of delivery.
What do you wish your father did differently?
I wish he was more involved in our lives in terms outside the discipline and academics, that he was very good. I wish he was like me. I was a very sporty guy, and he really never. I remember one day he asked me, "So what do you want to do?" I think I was in standard 3. He asked me, "So what do you want to do when you grow up?" I said, "I want to play soccer." Hey, let me tell you, I think I knew the word musomo from an early age.
Like you knew what it meant.
I knew what it meant
when he was talking to you.
When he was talking to me. Let me tell you, I was given another musomo. That where have you seen? Where will football take you and all those things? Where will sports take you? And that was it. I remember my brother as well. He was a very good swimmer, but all those things were put aside. So I really wish he was there for us at those things. Your extracurricular activities, your arts, your sports, So I really wish he was there for us.
I'm thinking about your relationship with your dad now. When we talked earlier, you said you went to see him in 2015?
2015, yes.
3 years ago.
Yes.
Maybe 4. How was that?
To be totally honest with you, it's a very much father-son relationship where you don't talk often, and when you do, you go straight to the point. How are you doing? How are the kids? You're fine. Okay, sawa. It's not like if I have something going on, he's going to be the first guy I will call. Or when I have something I need to do, let me find out what Mzee will say. No, it's not that. It's how are you doing? How are your kids? Are you treating your family well? Yes. And I ask him, how are you doing? And it's a conversation that ends in 5 minutes. And that time you haven't talked in like 4 months. But 5 minutes is a wrap.
Yeah.
Anything that goes over 5 minutes, hapo mmeongea sana. There will be long moments of silence.
And to ask a follow-up question, but yes. I've just wondered, where's your mom?
My mom is very much around. She's very much around.
Is she in Nairobi?
She's in Nairobi. She's in Nairobi. She lives in South B. Interesting you ask. The relationship is very different. Ours is it's a very close one. Yeah, so we visit her quite often, 3-4 times a month to see her grandkids, and we talk a lot. Yes.
So your mom and your dad have not been together for 17 years?
Yes, they haven't. They haven't been living in the same house, for lack of a better word, for 17. They're still together, still married.
They're still married to each other, but
yes.
They're just living separate lives.
Living separate lives, yes.
What kind of relationship would you like to have with your father now?
That's an interesting question. I think I have 2 schools of thought where that is concerned. The status quo, if I was to be asked, do you want to maintain that? I would probably say yes. One school of thought would probably say yes. Because here's the thing. Because he's not asking you a lot of things. He's not probably telling you what he'd wish for you. And a lot of those things in my mind, I'm like, no, I really don't want that. I have charted my way of life. And this is the direction I want to go. And then again, you do not want someone, especially your dad, telling you, hey, this is not the correct direction, or how you've been raised from my culture, you should not be going this direction, you should be doing. So I do not want that. But the other school of thought is, I really wish it was a close one. I think growing up, even outside his shadow, you face a lot of challenges. A lot of things that a father should tell you, you're told by other people, and that's normally like 2 years down the road. The other thing is, I would have really wished him to be there when I was getting married, but he wasn't there. I would have wished him to spend more time with his grandkids, but because of the geographical distance, he cannot be able to do that. But I just wish it was more of being a bit older now with a man with my own family. I wish it was a bit of we were more friends. Yes, he's still my dad, but we were more friends, and we chat a lot more with more openness. I would have wished for that, yes.
So I'm going to ask you a hypocritical question. So what are you going to do about it?
Man, I was wishing you don't ask that. But for now, to be honest, I think I know even my wife has challenged me about this. So what are you going to do about it? And I tell her, well, as compared to talking 4 or 3 times in a year, maybe make it maybe once every 2 months or once every month. So that's one of the things I want to do about it. The thing that bothers me is like, do I have that much psyche monthly lazima tubonge? No, not really.
So what's stopping you?
I think the fact that he hasn't been there, and
are you angry with him?
I wouldn't say anger. I'd say maybe disappointed. There's a bit of anger, but I think disappointment is what kind of takes the cake on this one. But yeah, I would give it, I think in the long haul, we talk once a month or 2 times a month, and see where that will take me.
The reason I say it's a hypocritical question is because I'm facing a similar scenario.
Okay.
And one of the questions I'm asking myself today is, if he passed away, what will I regret? And will I regret? Will I really have anything to regret? How does that look for you?
If he passed away, I'd be very sad. I'd be very sad. I'd be extremely sad. The fact that your biological dad is no more, that would make me sad. Second thing is, I would regret not putting in the effort of kind of wanting to have the kind of relationship I'd want to have with him. I wouldn't say I've put in a lot of effort. I'd regret the fact that I have not put in the effort.
Do you think you would?
I think I would. I think I would. I think I would. A lot of the times out there, you act and think you wouldn't, but when you're alone, when you have those man moments, you're sitting alone. I think I would. Yeah, and I think the thing that would hurt me the most is if the tables were turned, and my son would feel the same way about me. God forbid if I was to, pass on, and my son would be thinking that about me. That would really hurt me. I think that would tear me into pieces. Yeah.
So back to my hypocritical question.
Go ahead.
What are you gonna do about it?
I need to be conscious on this one, but I think I'll make a conscious effort to communicate more with him, even though it's once a month, even though it is 2 times a month. The second thing I will do, I will tell my kids about him more. That's very cool. Yes, I will. He's very good. He will send a birthday card to my kids. He knows when they were born, the dates and everything, and he makes sure he sends a birthday card. So I will purpose to tell them more about him. Today I don't. It's like, who will send the card? It's Guka. And who is Guka? Guka is your baba's dad, That conversation kind of ends there. But I will purpose to tell them more about him. And, and we will also plan that one day, though he can't come or he'd prefer we go visit him, that we will make plans to do that. Yeah.
Are dads important?
To be honest, dads are important. Dads are very important. Not only even to the boy, but to the girl. Girls, dads are important.
Is your dad important to you?
My dad is important.
Are you an important dad?
I tend to think so.
I hope so.
Thank God my wife is not here. But anyway, I'm just joking. But yes, I tend to think I'm an important dad. Yes.
I'm going through the same dilemma, to be honest. And this relationship with my biological dad, I don't know what to do about it. I'd rather pretend he doesn't exist and I move on. Because I've had the benefit of having, another man stepping into that space and become my dad.
That's true.
But I don't know whether pretending he doesn't exist is the answer, So as I'm asking you these questions, I'm looking for insight for myself as well. Like how do I handle this? It's a hard one.
It's a hard one. That's a tough one.
It's a tough one. All right. So if you had the opportunity to tell your dad what's in your heart, what would it be? If you were seated in the studio now and you had the opportunity to tell him, Sid, tell me anything you've ever wanted to say to me.
That would be tough. It would be tough. I think for him, let me say on my end, I think for me, I'd want to tell him, I really wish you were there for us, Yes, you were there physically, but absent in a lot of areas. I wish you were there. let me tell you, look at the things that we are doing today. And I think, I strongly feel, if he was there and supported us more, I think I would probably be doing something either in the sporting world or in the arts. My brother would, we both have corporate jobs, but I think even him, he would be probably doing something either to do with electricals or some form of engineering. So that's one thing I'd like to tell him. I think if you supported us, our career lives would be totally different than what we have today. Then the second thing is, if you supported us more, I think it would also be easier for us to parent as compared to it now. You know, now it's we do a lot of, you ask God to give you the wisdom and the knowledge and the understanding of how to bring up your children. The next thing, you go into a lot of material and listen to a lot of people. So very few things come naturally. I think if he was there more for us, a lot of stuff would be natural for us. And then there are a lot of things that I have done in my life, especially when I was getting married. The funny thing is, he was not one of the guys that I called and asked for advice. Did that hurt? Yes, it did. But then again, I'm like, you know what? Let me on this one that is very important to him, but I'd rather get it from other quarters. So for those three things, I think I would actually tell him that, and I think it would really hurt him. But I guess probably, though he was not the kind of dad would have expected him to be, or the kind of dad that he was supposed to be, it would probably trigger him to be a better granddad and to be one of the best granddads that there is. Yeah.
Assuming God gives him 20, maybe 30 more years to live. Probably more. It's possible.
Yeah. Amen to that.
What kind of father would you like him to be to you?
I think for me...
now as an adult,
I think I'd like him to be more of a friend. Secondly, I'd actually want him to be more of an advisory dad. My dad is 74, 75 years old, so he has a lot of experience. He has a lot of things to share. I'd like him to share those things and feel he has an open heart to share it, not... Deep down, he probably feels, I can only share if I'm asked. And unfortunately, my brother and I don't do a lot of asking where he's concerned. So I'd want him to get to a place where, he'd come and say, so what kind of a house do you want to build? Or what kind of school do you want to take your child? And right now, he can't ask. He will only respond if I ask him or if I bring up the story. So I'd like him to be involved in that kind of capacity. Yeah.
I hope it happens.
I pray it does. I want it to happen. And here's the thing, Amani, just to be totally honest, is I think when I'm 75 or 74 like him, the kind of relationship I'd want to have with him now, advisory, ask questions, talk openly, sit and laugh together, and choma nyama, all those things. I'd like to have that relationship with my own son and my daughter. And it's not that one that it's forced. They're even the ones who are looking for you. Hey, Baba, where are you? We haven't caught up. Hey, where are you? Aren't you picking your calls? Hey, are you feeling well? And yeah. So it's because I'd want to have that. Yes.
Children learn a lot by observation.
True.
So I want to suggest to you and to people like me as well that maybe the effort we put now in creating relationships with our fathers will be what will model for our children how to create relationships with their father.
Wow.
That the things that we wish to have at that age, just like you've mentioned at 74, 75, there's a lot of things that you're doing right now in terms of building relationship that your dad didn't do. But there's no guarantee that those things will pan out into the relationship.
Yes.
And I'm wondering if modeling that seeking out of relationship and that building relationship with an adult father as an adult, if that's not the actual key into showing your children where they learn by observation how to build a relationship with their dad.
True.
I'm just wondering.
Very true. Very true. Let me be honest, I think that crowns it all. If we can achieve those three main things that you have said, that crowns it all.
Today I want to flip the script. I want to flip the script not for the dads, but for the sons and for the daughters. And to say, what are you doing to build the relationship with your dad?
That's true.
What are you doing to model the kind of relationship that you want to have with your children when you're your dad's age? And I'm to say, reach out. If you have your dad alive, call the man. Go hang out with him. If you have nothing to talk about nothing. But be there. Be that father. Be that son that you want your son to be.
To you.
To you.
Yeah.
Be that friend that you want your child to be to you. And I'm making this challenge to myself as well and say, no, Tamani, style up. You cannot be a victim forever. You now have to make your own set of choices.
That's true.
And I think today, I'm a 38-year-old man. I can't make excuses anymore. I can't be, it's because dad wasn't there.
Yes.
Does that make sense for you?
It makes sense. It makes sense. Makes a lot of sense.
I have to make new choices. And today, my choice to remain a victim is a choice. Or to say, you know what, let me take a new direction with this conversation. And whatever direction you take, just remember it could be modeling for your children.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sydney.
Thanks. Thank you. Thank you very much. And you know what? I really feel what you have said. And I've heard it in another quarters. There's a show that comes on Friday. I think around about 7 p.m. on Hope. And the guys were talking about dads and sons. And one of the guys said, also be ready to be that dad to your dad. If he's not reaching out to you, you call him. Hey, dad, how you doing? Where are you? How are you feeling? How was your day? Can I come see you? Where are you now? Can I come? Can we have lunch tomorrow? I'm coming to see you. You be that dad to him. And the guy said, if you are consistent with this, you will know, this mzee will turn around to be that dad now you want, and you will stop playing this role and he'll start playing it. And to me, I thought that, wow, that's really, really profound.
And for me, it's even beyond that. It's like, even if he doesn't turn around,
yes,
you have modeled it.
I tell you, yeah.
Even if he doesn't turn around,
yes,
you won't have that regret that you talked about.
Yes,
that I did not do enough.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, on your fatherhood journey,
yes,
I wish you well.
Thank you.
You're a good dad.
Thank you.
I hear you always speak about the concerns that you have about your role, and the fact that you think about them.
Yes.
I think your children are lucky to have you as a dad.
Yes. To God be the glory, I tell you, yes.
So well done.
Thank you.
And all the best.
Thank you.
And thank you for coming on my podcast.
Karibu sana.
And for living truthfully. Hey, si umefungwa roho mse.
Asante. Mpaka nimesweat.
Maliza chai. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Sydney. And thank you for listening to Living Truthfully. It really is true. You're the sum of your choices. You cannot play victim forever. And at your age now, it's time to make different choices. And if you, like me and like Sydney, are struggling with a relationship with a parent, especially a dad, do something about it. you do something about it. This is Living Truthfully.